Hey everyone, it's Amar, and today I'm going to be talking about playing with modes, playing between modes, changing modes, just one of the approaches I use when I'm writing solos or writing music, right, when it comes to modes. So to do this, I'm actually going to be breaking down one of my solos, and I'm going to share with you the approach I used in that solo. To begin, we got to talk about the chords. Okay, so the first section, we're going to break it down into sections. In the first section, I am using a clean tone for the chords, but right here it's driven. It's a little bit crunchy, so don't mind that. But the chords, what are they called? It doesn't really matter. It just matters how you look at them. You got to know the notes and you got to know the scale degrees, one or the other. You gotta have a way to look at the fretboard. Okay. When it comes to modes, you gotta know a little bit of the fretboard, or quite a bit of the fretboard, right, to be able to change around and jump between different scales. So on the first chord, I have this going on. It's a E, a B, and a C. And then I have these open notes. So what is that called? I mean, we could call it E5 add flat 13. We could go ahead and give it that name. It's not too important, okay? It's just one of these open, spacious chords. But I think in this context, that's probably the best way to put it, an E5 flat 13, okay? So that's how we're starting. And then for the second chord, all I'm doing is taking that E and making it an F, okay? From here to here, all right? And third chord is just back to the E. And the fourth chord is this B dominant 7, so B7 chord with the open strings again. So they all have the open strings in common, okay? They all have the open strings in common. So now it's all about how you look at these chords. I like to use numbers. I like to apply everything. I like to relate everything to the major scale. Okay, so the major scale is this perfect scale. Okay, we're just going to consider this perfect scale where every note in that scale gets a number of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, meaning this is our E major scale. E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E. And each one of those gets a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and to the octave, okay? So this is how I see it. Now, anything that's outside of that, anything that's outside of those notes is an alteration of those notes, okay? I hope you're following. I'm trying to make this as easy as possible. So anything that's not in this major scale is simply gonna be because one of those notes was altered. Okay, so I'm in E major and I'm gonna look at these chords now. So the first chord, we have this flat 13 chord happening, and that means our 6 is flat, so we have a flat 6. Okay, now I'm not too worried about anything here except making sure that whatever scale I start with has that E, which is the 1, the 5, and the flat 6. Okay, so I need to choose a scale that works. I could choose a minor scale, but I decided to choose the harmonic major scale. I just like how that sounds. So I chose the E harmonic major scale to start this solo, okay? And that's simply just a major scale with a flat 6. it works because the chord has the flat 6. That's why it works, right? All the other notes, I mean, nothing's clashing. It has an E, just like the chord. It has a B, just like the chord. So everything works. So when I start, it's just going to be that. That's all I'm thinking, harmonic major. Those are just a lot of unisons, right? So that's what I'm playing over the first chord. Now I never hit a flat 6 here. I'm not, you don't have to play every note, right? In that harmonic major scale. It doesn't matter. It just, what you're hearing is harmonic major scale because of the melody plus the chords. That's what your ears are going to end up hearing. They're going to hear everything together, okay? So then on the second chord, this is where we start talking, this is where you start making changes, okay? So on the second chord, we went from this chord right here and we added this F. We added this F, okay? So what is this F? This is a flat 2. We're relating everything to that major scale we talked about in the beginning. This is a flat 2, okay? Now, to keep it simple, all you gotta think about is your next scale has to have that flat 2. You can't have a regular 2. So I need to have that flat 2. I still need the 5. I still need the flat 6. I still need the 1, the E. And that's where I make the change. So I was in harmonic major, and I decided I needed that flat 2. So now I have a flat 2. And what I decided to do is I decided to also flat the 7, just to give me a Phrygian dominant scale. I added a flat 7 to give me the Phrygian dominant scale. The reason Phrygian dominant works is because, again, it has those notes. It has the E, it has the B, it has the C, it has the F, right? So it has every note that I need for that second chord, and then some, right? So I switch over to Phrygian dominant that way. So right here. I'm in Phrygian dominant now. Okay, and on the third chord, I'm back to E. But I decided not to change the scale here. I decided to just stick to that Phrygian dominant. So I'm back to E, this E flat 13 chord, E5 flat 13, but I just kept the scale the same. It's Phrygian dominant because, again, it just works. It still works. I could use it. So that's all Phrygian dominant there, okay? But then our last chord is this. It's that B dominant 7. Now, if I'm in Phrygian dominant, something's gonna clash here, okay? Because Phrygian dominant has this D, the flat 7. It has a D that I was just playing. But this next chord has a D sharp. So it's the same idea. I'm just altering the scale with one or more notes. It doesn't matter, to make sure every note in that scale fits that chord. Okay? So in this case, what I did was I raised that 7. So instead of playing a D, I made it a D sharp. Everything else is the same, just like I was playing the Phrygian dominant, but I raised that note. So now I'm in a new scale, and this is the double harmonic scale. And that's what happens in the solo there. So I was finishing off with Phrygian dominant. Chord changes, so I make the adjustment, and now I'm in double harmonic. Okay? And that's the end of that first section. So in the second section, the first chord again is this E. And on this E, I decided to just go back to thinking major, so it's harmonic major. Okay, second chord is going to be this. So we have two chords coming up here, which is the same idea. It's just that A5 flat 13 chord, right? And then all I'm doing is taking that A and moving it to a G sharp. And again, on this chord as well, I am playing those open strings. So it's the same idea there. Excuse my computer fan. I hope it's not too loud. So that's what I have happening, okay? So on the first one, like I said, I just went back to that major, harmonic major. And then on the second chord, I have the A, the E again, I have the F, I have the F. The F is back. And this is why I can go to anything with that flat F and, you know, the A, the E, that sort of thing. And I chose a scale that fit that, and that was the double harmonic scale. Where were we? Right there, that's pretty much what's making it double harmonic. Having that D sharp. So I'm back to double harmonic. And I just do this descending run in double harmonic. And here, and by the way, I do that while on both of these chords. Right, that run plays as I transition between both of those chords. Because they both work. They both work in that Byzantine or double harmonic scale, okay? So that's all I'm doing. Pretty simple, okay? So for the final section, I'm back to E. And over here, I'm just thinking major, so I just ascend this major. But again, we have that flat 13, the flat 6, so it's harmonic major. So that's what I'm playing. I'm playing harmonic major. And the next chord is just like earlier. And over here, I switch into, I need the flat 2, so I switch into the double harmonic. Okay, and it has that flat 2. It has all the notes I need. All the notes match up with this chord, okay? So the 3 or 4 notes in this chord are in that scale. And after that, it's just the final 2 chords. And this is where I have a little bit of fun, where I just put it all together, because I have that E again, right? It has the flat 13, so I just have to think about that flat 13, which is a C, and then I have the B7. And what I do here is I just run through all those scales, just back to back, changing. I mean, you only have to change one note at a time. So I just run through those because all those scales are gonna fit those 2 chords. Okay, so I go into harmonic major. Right, harmonic major. And then I go into just straight up major. Because technically, this B, a B7 is just part of the major scale, the E major scale. I hope that made sense. I hope that gave you some clarification. It's really just about finding scales where the notes aren't going to clash with those of the chord. That's really all it is. And fretboard visualization is important. So the better you know your fretboard, the easier this is to do, the easier it is to alter notes in a scale, the easier it is to, switch between different scales because you're just thinking about the whatever notes are different, the relationship between those scales. So anyway, I hope that was helpful. If you enjoyed it, let me know. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. And if you'd like to check out more of my solo breakdowns, I do have a few on Patreon. I have a couple other courses there and some miscellaneous content. Feel free to check it out, check out the previews, and see if it's something that you'd like to explore.